Hey Sheila, how you doing today?
Wayne, I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm getting better. It's
Okay.
it's a rough road. I'm getting better. That's okay. Yes.
Okay. Good.
And welcome everyone to 27 Minutes with Sheila and Wayne, where we explore the fascinating world of verbs and their impact on our daily lives. Join us each week as we delve into the different ways verbs shape our language and influence our interactions, as we attempt to make a positive difference in our world, one verb at a time.
Yes.
And Sheila, what is our verb for today?
Wayne, before I say the verb for the day, do you mind if I do a trivia question that I will answer at the end of the show?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. And this is going to be a hint to what the word is. So, since 2020, 9 additional US states have required that students take financial management courses before they graduate from high school, which now gives a total of 30 states in the US who do that. Name 4 states, or just one of the 4, that have no requirement for personal financial education in high school.
Ooh, I can think of two right off the bat that I want to
Okay, well,
say.
don't say them now. Wait till the end of the show. And you may have guessed that our word today is to manage.
Ooh, manage. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And everyone, this is episode number 103.
Yes.
I like it. Hey, Sheila, where can our listeners find you?
Oh, thank you for asking. Zeke and Sheila at yahoo.com. I had to think about that for a minute. But
Okay.
Zeke, of course, is the golden retriever who's usually sitting behind me during our podcast.
You're supervising us, right? Yes. Okay.
Supervising, managing,
Managing. Oh, managing.
managing.
That's,
Yeah.
that's right. Okay. And you can reach me at wayne@mindsinking.com. My website is mindsinking.com. So please give us a shout out. Let us hear from you. Thanks a lot.
Great.
What definitions did you come up for manage?
I have 2. Number 1 is to be in charge of, administer, or run something. And number 2 is to succeed in surviving or attaining one's aims, especially against heavy odds.
Oh, I
I
like
know.
those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But you always have several more, so go for it.
Well, okay. To succeed in living with a small amount of money,
Mm.
to be able to attend or do something at a particular time. Hey, I managed to get there on
Oh,
time.
okay. All right. Phew.
To be responsible for controlling or organizing someone or something, especially a business or
Mhm.
employees.
Mhm.
I have three more.
Okay.
To be in charge of and or control a company, department, project, team, etc.
Mhm.
To be able to use something, for example, time or money in an
Mm.
effective way.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I've been managing time and money today.
All
Woo-hoo.
right. I think you've been living this word today.
And the last one I have is to be responsible for investing money for investors. So money
Okay.
management, money managing their money. How about that? Cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
And when we first pulled this word out of my little gelato jar here, what did you think? What's
I'll be honest with you. W I don't think we have ever been influenced to go for a word based on the previous show,
ah
except for this time, because there was so much to talk about our show last week, which was to lead, and to manage just kind of filled in that spot perfectly, so that we could talk about things we maybe missed last week.
and you're right. And I misspoke, everyone. I did. I said we pulled it out of a jar, but that's not true. Sheila said, "Hey, our
Oh.
next word," as we did our wrap up and after action report. She said our next word could be manage because we talked about lead and all those things. Let's talk about manage. And I said, "Ooh, that's pretty cool." And
Normally, though, we do use that gelato jar.
yes, and I was excited because
Mhm,
yes, I do enjoy the word manage, the verb
mhm,
manage,
mhm,
because I have run into so many people, so many organizations who use manage or lead or management and leadership
mhm.
interchangeably as though they're the same
Right,
thing. And
right.
they are absolutely not the
A
same thing.
and I'm so glad you're here to fill us in on why that is.
Okay. That's all right. Hey, from the book, my organizational behavior book, 13th
Mhm.
edition that I used to teach from by Hilrigal and Slocum, they offer a chart from
Oh,
Kuzos and Posner that is titled Leadership and Management, a Comparison.
perfect.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to just pull that little chart out because I enjoyed it a lot while I
Mhm,
was teaching.
mhm.
And it kind of gives you something to think about, to ponder. So how about if I do a because
That'd
there's
be
one, two,
great.
three, four, five. There's five categories,
Okay.
and I'll do two, and then we'll go to you, and then I'll come back and do two more, and then I'll do one more, and we'll continue from there. How's that? Is that
We're gonna
okay?
we're gonna totally confuse everybody. That's great.
That's all right. It's gonna be a ping pong. No,
Ping
what
pong.
was that one of those first graphic
Pong.
pong. That's it. Pong. We're gonna pong. It's gonna be click, and then it's bounce a click, and it's my turn. And click.
Very slow game.
Yes.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Leadership and management, a comparison. And the first category is they're talking about modeling the way. They say leadership leads by example, aligns values with actions, understands your personal values. And the management side says, hey, they lead by remote control, tells people what to do.
Okay.
I thought, okay, that's pretty cool.
I'm kind of liking that one better so far.
Second category was to inspire a shared vision. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I talk about that all the time. And the book says on the leadership side, imagines exciting possibilities. Appeals to shared aspirations and paints a big picture of what we aspire to be. And I remember one of the old, I guess, quotes, and I don't remember who said it, but it says that we as humans are only bound by our imagination. And I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. Anyway, the management side says it focuses on day-to-day order activities, and they do things right. All right, put this there, put that there.
I'm liking that too. Okay.
I can see
not that I'm ranking these higher than the other.
All right. Well, that's my initial two, so I will turn it over to you.
Well, that reminds me, or leads perfectly into a couple of quotes that I picked up here.
Oh, yes.
So the first one, management is about arranging and telling. Leadership is about nurturing and enhancing, according to Tom Peters.
Aha.
Then I've got Drew Houston, who said, reading a book about management isn't going to make you a good manager any more than a book about guitar will make you a good guitarist, but it can get you thinking about the most important concepts.
How about that?
And then finally, Irene Rosenfeld said, parenting is one of the best management training programs there is.
Because you are controlling, you're coordinating, you're directing. You're doing all those things, right?
Yes. Carpools, schedules, meal planning, everything, discipline. Yes. So let's hear some more of your points.
Okay. So the next category was challenge the process. I know we have all done that. On the leadership side, it says when you challenge the process, it takes risks and learns from mistakes, searches for opportunities to change, grow, and improve. Mm-hmm. And lastly, it says it asks, what can we learn? And the management side goes, hey, go by the book, tight controls, let's do it. And going back upstairs from the next one, it says, focus on the things day to day. Here we go. Do this. I see management almost as a tyrant.
That's why I'm liking it, I think.
Okay. If you don't do this, you're going to get hurt.
There will be consequences.
That's right. No time no time for thinking. We have work to do.
That's right. That's the mom voice.
Okay. Number 4 category on this leadership and management, a comparison. It says in the category, enable others to act. Yes, I like that. And from the leadership perspective, it says it fosters collaboration by building trust. It shares power and decision making. It actively listens to diverse points. Let me start that over. It actively listens to diverse points of view. Mm-hmm. And on the management side, I wonder if we can all guess what's coming up here. It says management, hey, they make all the decisions and directs and controls.
Definitely a theme.
Definitely a theme here. That's exactly right. They're almost making it sound autocratic.
They are. And it's interesting because this is a book that's used in teaching management courses, correct?
It's organizational behavior.
Oh, organizational behavior. Well, that makes sense. So it's neutral about the value of one over the other.
Ab- yes, but it's making the management side sound so
Unappealing
barbaric,
almost.
right? Almost, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Okay.
right. And oh, that was the two. So I'm going to
Okay.
pass it back over to you. Okay.
Well, I'm going to take us in. There are two different directions. I'm not going to do them both here. That I wanted to go down. One is about money management, thus the trivia question that I came with, and the
Ah,
other one is stress management, which I know are not about leadership issues, but which I think managing stress and managing money are certainly tied together, or
uh-huh.
can be. But also, we referenced those a little bit in some of our definitions. So.
Yes, we have.
Turns out there are three basic concepts that are the same in both of these. And I'm going to say the concepts first, and then after you give your next bullet points, I will drill down a little more deeply into both of those. Does that sound okay?
Okay, sounds great.
So the three concepts are: you measure and get data.
Okay.
Number two, you pay attention to choices.
Ooh,
And number three, make better choices.
aha.
So what have you got next?
I have the last category in this chart. It says to encourage from the heart. Now I'm going to stop.
Mhm.
Encourage from the heart. Yeah, all these big corporate, Fortune 500 companies. I'm going to say 50 years ago, this would be thrown out, pulverized,
There's
stricken
no
from
leading from the heart.
right, stricken
Right.
from vocabulary and from anybody who says that, you're out of here. we we don't go by heart, we go by analytics.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, it says leading from the heart, encourage leading from the
Yeah.
heart, or encourage from the heart. Here we
Right.
go. The leadership side.
Okay.
Re- Recognizes contributions from others. Yes, we have talked about that many times. It says it celebrates victories. And again, we have talked about that. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Is passionate about helping others grow. Wow. Okay.
That's I love that concept.
Let me turn to the to the arcane side here called
Okay.
management.
Management.
At least that's what the theme is so far. It says little recognition of others' accomplishments,
Hmm.
rewards not aligned with results.
Hmm.
Okay.
I well, okay. All right. These are the
Okay.
experts. I've had some managers who incorporated many of the leadership qualities.
I've had great managers as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I remember in another textbook I had,
Hmm.
much like you had already suggested, there was a comparison between leadership and management.
Hmm.
And it said, or leaders and managers. It said there was a two categories. Managers see the bottom line while leaders see the horizon. And I
Hmm.
always
Hmm.
remember that. I
Yeah.
always remember that because
Yeah.
I tend to profess leaders are there to influence, to help motivate, to help encourage, to get creative,
Hmm.
innovative kinds of ideas.
Hmm.
And it says that leaders see potential and they strive to push that potential into the places that it needs to go, while the book suggested that management was just strictly looking at the bottom line. What is that bottom line? And I told a story maybe two or three, I'm not sure, podcasts ago. Remember
Hmm.
about, I think I said his name was Doug, and Doug worked in the mailroom.
Yes.
Remember that story?
Yes.
For those of you who don't remember, I'll say it really quickly. I was there doing some leadership development. I talked to a lot of people when I go into people's buildings just to kind of get a feel of who it is, what the pulse is, what's the heartbeat of the organization. And I tend to put my head into places, obscure places, and I like to go in the mail rooms. I like to talk to all the administrative assistants that I can. And I was in the mail room once talking to that crew, and one of the guys that I talked to was very interesting because he was there, and he got a job because he needed an 8 to 5 job. And so he got the job.
Hmm.
I went into the boardroom where the exec was, who I was working for that day. He was my client.
Hmm.
And they were talking about some kind of decision they made. Anyway, to get this long story short here, I suggested that the problem that they had, maybe going out to get a consultant to come in and look, or a consulting firm to come in and look at, maybe that's a good idea. Or maybe you could talk to Doug, who's in your mailroom. And they said, why would we want to talk to Doug, who's in our mailroom, who wants to do this? And I said, well, because Doug is getting his doctorate in his doctorate, PhD, in exactly what your problem is. And I said, I bet you he has some solutions or some maybe suggestions. And if he doesn't, I bet you he has some professors who would just love and have fun to come here and talk to you about this. And the CEO was like, well, why don't I know about this? And here comes back to today's word, manage, because the resource director managed the job title and matched a person with it. That's the bottom line. Hey, this person has the qualifications. I need a mailroom clerk. He fits the bill. Boom, you get the job. Where a leader would look to align individuals and say, you've got all this potential. And guess what? At the end of the day, if no one knows that Doug is getting his PhD there, when he graduates, Doug's going to leave.
Absolutely.
But if a leader steps in and sees his resume and sees that he is actually working on his doctorate, that leader might suggest, Doug, what are you planning to do with this? Because we have some capabilities that, if you take the mailroom job now, complete your degree, we're going to have a position that maybe we can put you into. Can we talk about that for future kinds of things? Right now, you work in the mailroom, that's good. But as soon as you graduate, we'll come pull you over here and talk about, a more responsible position for you that you are aiming to do because of your education. That's what a leader would do. But the manager, the resource manager, just said, I need a mailroom person. This person fits the bill. You got it. And enough said.
Question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been inside many businesses and you've been given open doors to ask questions and look around. Do you find that a company can succeed if the leadership and management don't somehow get on the same page in terms of the direction that they're going?
We see that all the time. And the answer is yes. They can succeed.
Okay.
The real answer is, at what length do we have to go? How much time do we waste? How inefficient is it? How turbulent is the atmosphere? Who gets mad? Who leaves? Who stays? All those things play. But the real answer is, yeah, things get done, but it's maybe not the most efficient or the optimal, but things do get done.
As you're talking to, I'm thinking about the family dynamic and how one person tends to be more on the management side as we've been describing it, and another person may be on the more philosophical side of leadership. And it definitely takes people with different skill sets, but it definitely takes being on the same page too, in order for a family to be able to operate smoothly. And like you say, they'll operate, but it depends on whether they like each other at the end of the day or not.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Well, I'm leaving for 2 weeks. Okay, bye. We're not going to miss you.
That conversation may or may not have ever taken place in my household.
and then when it snows, they go, "Hey, wait, who's going to shovel the snow?" Well, Wayne's gone. He used to do it. So, okay, maybe we better be nice to Wayne. So at least in the winter.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
You're right. And that's called dysfunction. Because in businesses, it's called a dysfunctional group or dysfunctional organization, where you have polar opposites and they don't function very well. However, there are people who are still there, the diehards who are going to get the job done. It's painful, but they still get the job done. Yes. So it doesn't bring things to a halt, but it sure slows and bogs down the wheel. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Great question. Thanks for asking that. I like that. Yes.
Okay.
I hope my answer was okay.
That was a great answer. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I didn't have a pre-planned answer.
Okay.
So I'll vote for that one.
Yes. And what's next on your sheet that you just want to tell us?
I just want to talk about, for those who didn't have financial planning in high school, it's such it is it can be an intimidating topic. And the steps are really so very basic. And I'm just going to walk through. If you're a teenager who's learning about money management, all of us can retweak. It's always good in our household to have an annual meeting about where we are financially, where we want to go, what our goals are, how are we meeting our goals. So, number
Yes.
one, make a budget. And what is a budget? It's adding up your monthly income, subtracting your monthly expenses. There you go. That's your budget. And
Okay.
deciding which categories need to be beefed up, which categories need to be cut back so that it
Okay.
comes out even.
Okay.
There's a
Make a budget.
new number, and this depends on where you live, actually. It's called the 50-30-20 rule. And that has to do with 50% of your budget should go to basic necessities, mortgage or rent, food, electricity, 30% for living your life comfortably, and 20% for savings. Boy, when I was growing up, that was 10%, but now it's beefed up to 20%. And in some places,
Yes.
mortgages are so much higher that 50 may not even be the right number there. So number one, make a budget. Number two, track your spending. And this goes back to, remember I said measure and get data? Track your
Yes.
spending. That can be like looking up online in your credit card expenses. And a lot of credit card companies and banks now do the work for you by categorizing everything. Is this in the household expenses? Is this a car expense? Is this your dog
Mm.
expense? Is this
Yes.
children expenses? So use the tools that are available. The next one is save for retirement. And take advantage of employers that offer 401ks or Roth IRAs or whatever. Save for emergencies like
Oh.
snow days when your car decides it's not going to stop, it's going to slide through that stop sign into the stop sign.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then this is so fun. When my husband and I were young and first married and had student debt and whatnot, we, in our plan to pay off debt, we used the snowball method, which is almost magical. And that is where you're paying off payments to every debt, but take the smallest debt and put your extra money there. So
Okay.
you're pretty quickly going to be able to get rid of that one and then take the money you're using on that one and apply it to the next smallest debt, which you're now paying maybe double for. And then when you pay that one off, take all of that money you've been spending and apply it to the next smallest debt. And it's so rewarding to do that because you see progress quickly and it's very positively reinforcing. Finally, as you establish good credit and monitor your credit, make sure that you keep an eye and make sure other people aren't opening accounts in your name. And again, this is something where many bank accounts or even some credit card accounts will help you look at your Experian and Equifax and other credit monitoring
Yes.
organizations. So you measure and get data, you pay attention to your choices, and then you make better choices as time goes by.
I like that.
Thank you.
That is very I wish I had that when I was growing up.
Oh man,
See all
no
those
kidding.
McDonald burgers I had.
I don't know. I have to regularly monitor my Starbucks
Okay.
expenditures, but
All
that's
right.
a conversation for another day.
Uh-huh. Okay. Hey, well, I have some other thoughts here. If I can, and it's 23 minutes
Ooh,
here.
okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna run through these thoughts quickly. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, because I have been putting manage to work over the past several days, and I
Yes.
said over the past several days I have been out of town. I have been managing one crisis after another.
Yes.
Someone told me, "Hey, they did not know how I got so much done in so few days." And I suggested to this person, I prioritized the issues
Mm-hmm.
and tackled them one at a time.
The snowball method.
The snowball method, because exactly, because when I finished one issue, I went to the next one. And I said, and yes, other issues popped up at later times and the priorities changed.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said, you got to go back and make sure that you keep an eye out for
Mm-hmm.
things that are going on. And
Mm-hmm.
so since the priorities changed, all right, once again, I had to prioritize. I stopped a
Mm-hmm.
lesser priority, tackled the elephant in the room,
Mm,
and then continued down the changed priority list. But I'm still just doing one thing at a time,
mm,
because I have found a lot of people who, when they take on or manage everything at once, all at once,
mm-hmm.
um, they don't get anything done
And they
to
leave
the
a mess behind.
and they leave a mess behind. Well, I'm not gonna say they don't leave
Okay.
don't get anything done. They leave some
Okay.
things done and some things not done, but it is a mess and it is elongated and it is
Mm,
overwhelming and you
mm-hmm.
do
Yes.
waste time, energy, money, and manpower when you do
Mm,
those kinds of
mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the last thing I'm going to say is you can't lead time, but you can manage it.
I love that. Is that a Wayne Applewhite quote?
That's going to be a Wayne Applewhite quote.
I think you should write a book about that.
And I'll leave that with you.
Write that down, but you can't
We're at 25 minutes, so we still have some time. What's your nuggets that you want to tell us? What's the answer to the trivia question?
Okay. I just want to say, in terms of stress, I just want to say there's this fun book called The Upside of Stress, and that the idea,
Ooh.
the concept is to, and the author is Kelly McGonigal, who's a Stanford psychologist, and the idea is to embrace stress rather than see it as something that just needs to be reduced, because it's bringing something to your attention, and if you address it rather than avoid it, then you can actually eliminate the stress. Avoiding it can lead to procrastination or getting drunk to reduce it, or to imagine worst case scenarios. But if you see stress as your friend who is pointing you in a good direction, then it's not a Pollyanna positive attitude. It's use that stress and use the energy in a positive direction. So that's all I'm going to say about that for now.
That's very nice. I like that a lot.
We'll just have to go and have another kind of topic related to stress sometime. So the trivia question, as a reminder, is 9 U.S. states since 2020 have joined the others, leading to now 30 states that require a financial management course that students take before they can graduate from high school. Name 4 or one of the 4 states that have no requirement for personal financial education in high school.
Okay. Well, you know what? I am not going to make a guess, because I don't want to offend any of our listeners who may be in those states that I get wrong, because I say, oh, this sounds like a state that might have that problem. So I'm just going to let you say the answer.
Well, you know what's really funny? Oh, this is terrible. I forgot to write down the answer. Well, one of them is not a state, but the 5th one is the District of Columbia. Washington, D.C.
Well, as soon as you said it wasn't a state, I knew it was the District of Columbia. So, okay, there we go.
I wouldn't say North Dakota, but I might be guessing. I apologize to anyone who's listening in North Dakota. But you know what? I will answer this in our next podcast. And that reminds me, our next podcast won't be next week, because we are taking a very important time out to handle some personal issues. And so this next week would be a great time to listen to your favorite show, or the one that you didn't hear in the past, if you're going through our little record of 103 episodes that we have already published.
There's a lot to choose from, isn't there?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Okay. Well, thank you, Sheila. I really appreciate it. Thank you to our listeners.
And I apologize about the trivia question.
That's
I wrote it
okay.
down somewhere.
And we'll see you in a few weeks, folks, okay?
Yes, we will. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye, Sheila.
Bye, Wayne.